Hello, reading room. It is day 309 in the classroom, and we're reading about the Orphan Train by Christina Baker Kline. Let me go turn off that whatever. You know, there's really a lot to think about in reading this. We talked about on Thursday about how all of these people would have records, and what we've called this before, and psychologically speaking, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, which of course I clearly saw in the mental health area, right? So she's combative. So if she gets to be combative, who the hell in the mental health industry do you suppose is not combative? And then if you could speak this clearly about the fact that you don't belong here, is that going to be interpreted as combative? And then when you start typing away with the brick between your eyeballs that you call a brain, Ann Hall, then yeah, that is also dismissive to somebody who's a PhD, by the way, and might know what she's talking about. But you know, that's what you're up against. That's what you're up against, this system. I talked in my Bookless classroom about how this is a real thing, and that there was a real analysis done in Michigan apparently, and that people have been violating human rights in a Michigan audit, in particular as it relates to administering pharmaceuticals, once again trying to then disperse of all those, that arsenal of pharmaceuticals. Let's get going in our reading. I have the book, in case you didn't notice. So now I have the book, and you can follow along online because I told you that I downloaded that, and I think I have a link there still. No pictures, so I'm just reading now. Spruce Harbor, Maine, 2011. Terry leads the way to the third floor, bustling up the stairs, with Vivian moving more slowly behind her and Molly taking up the rear. The house is large and drafty, much too large, Molly thinks, for an old woman who lives alone. It has 14 rooms, most of which are shuttered during the winter months. During the Terry narrated tour on the way to the attic, Molly gets the story. Vivian and her husband Jim owned and ran a department store in Minnesota, and when they sold it 20 years ago, they took a sailing trip up the East Coast to celebrate their retirement. They spied this house, a former ship captain's estate, from the harbor, and on an impulse decided to buy it. And that was it. They packed up and moved to Maine. Ever since Jim died 8 years ago, Vivian has lived here by herself. In a clearing at the top of the stairs, Terry painting a bit, puts her hand on her hip and looks around. Yikes, where to start, Vivi? Vivian reaches the top step, clutching the banister. She is wearing another cashmere sweater, gray this time, and a silver necklace with an odd little charm on it. That is a good question. Glancing around, Molly can see that the third floor of the house consists of a finished section, 2 bedrooms tucked under the slope of the roof. How fun. And an old-fashioned bathroom with a clawfoot tub, and a large open attic part with a rough planked floor half covered in patches of an ancient linoleum. It has visible rafters with insulation packed between the beams. Though the rafters and floor are dark, the space is surprisingly light. Levered windows nestle in each dormer, providing a clear view of the bay and the marina beyond. The attic is filled with boxes and furniture packed so tightly it's hard to move around. In one corner is a long clothes rack covered with a plastic zippered case. Three cedar chests, so large that Molly wonders how they got up here in the first place, are lined up against a wall next to a stack of steamer trunks. Overhead, several bare bulbs glow like tiny moons. Wandering among the cardboard boxes, Vivian trails her fingertips across the tops of them, peering at the cryptic labels. The store, 1960, the Nielsen's, valuables. I suppose this is why people have children, isn't it? She muses. So somebody will care about the stuff they leave behind. Molly looks over at Terry, who is shaking her head with grim resignation. It occurs to her that maybe Terry's reluctance to take on this project has as much to do with avoiding this kind of maudlin moment as avoiding the work itself. Glancing surreptitiously at her phone, Molly sees it's 4:15, only 15 minutes since she arrived. She's supposed to stay until 6 today and then come for 2 hours, 4 days a week, and 4 hours every weekend until she finishes her time or Vivian drops dead, whichever comes first. According to her calculations, it should take about a month to finish the hours, not to kill Vivian. Though if the next 49 hours and 45 minutes are this tedious, she doesn't know if she'll be able to stand it. In American history, they've been studying how the United States was founded on indentured servitude. The teacher, Mr. Reed, said that in the 17th century, nearly 2/3 of English settlers came over that way, selling years of their freedom for the promise of an eventual better life. Most of them were under the age of 21. Molly has decided to think of this job as indentured servitude. Each hour she works is another hour closer to freedom. It'll be good to clear out this stuff, Terry is saying. Well, I'm going to get started on the laundry. Call if you need me. She nods to Molly as if to say, all yours, and retreats down the stairs. Molly knows all about Terry's work routine. You're like me at the gym. Hey, Ma? Jack says, teasing her about it. One day biceps, next day quads. Terry rarely deviates from her self-imposed schedule. With the house this size, she says, you have to tackle a different section every day. Bedrooms and laundry on Monday, bathroom and plants on Tuesday, kitchen and shopping on Wednesday, other main rooms on Thursday, cooking for the weekend on Friday. Molly wades through stacks of boxes sealed with shiny beige tape to get to the window, which she opens a crack. Even up here at the top of this big old house, she can smell the salty air. They're not in any particular order, are they? She asks Vivian, turning back around. How long have they been here? I haven't touched them since we moved in, so that must be 20 years. Vivian gives her a flinty smile. You were listening. Were you ever tempted to just toss it all in the dumpster? Vivian purses her lips. I didn't mean, sorry, Molly winces, realizing she's pushed a little far. All right, it's official. She needs an attitude adjustment. Why is she so hostile? Vivian hasn't done anything to her. She should be grateful. Without Vivian, she'd be sliding down a dark path toward nowhere good. But it kind of feels nice to nurture her resentment, to foster it. It's something she can savor and control, this feeling of having been wronged by the world, that she has fulfilled her role as a thieving member of the underclass, now indentured to this genteel Midwestern white lady, is too perfect for words. Deep breath smile as Lori, the court-ordered social worker she meets with biweekly, always tells her to do. Molly decides to make a mental list of all the positive things about her situation. Let's see. 1, if she can stick it out, this whole incident will be stricken from her record. 2, she has a place, however tense and tenuous at the moment, to live. 3, if you must spend 50 hours in an uninsulated attic in Maine, spring is probably the best time of year to do it. 4, Vivian is ancient, but she doesn't appear to be senile. 5, who knows? Maybe there actually will be something interesting in these boxes. Bending down, Molly scans the labels around her. I think we should go through them in chronological order. Let's see. This one says World War II. Is there anything before that? Yes, Vivian squeezes between 2 stacks and makes her way toward the cedar chest. The earliest stuff I have is over here, I think. These crates are too heavy to move, though, so we'll have to start in this corner. Is that okay with you? Molly nods. Downstairs, Terry handed her a cheap serrated knife with a plastic handle, a slippery stack of white plastic garbage bags, and a wire-bound notebook with a pen clipped to it to keep track of inventory, as she called it. Now Molly takes a knife and pokes it through the tape of the box. The box Vivian has chosen, 1929 to 1930. Vivian, sitting on a wooden chest, waits patiently. After opening the flaps, Molly lifts out a mustard-colored coat, and Vivian scowls. Mercy's sake, she says, I can't believe I saved that coat. I always hated it. Molly holds the coat up, inspecting it. It's interesting, actually sort of a military style with bold black buttons. The gray silk lining is disintegrating. Going through the pockets, she fishes out a folded piece of lined paper, almost worn away at the creases. She unfolds it to reveal a child's careful cursive in faint pencil, practicing the same sentence over and over again. Upright and do right make all right. Upright and do right make all right. Upright and do right. We were talking about tasks in Bookless classroom. She found somebody who had to write a task. Vivian takes it from her and spreads the paper open on her knee. I remember this. Miss Lauren had the most beautiful penmanship. Your teacher? Vivian nods. Try as I might, I could never form my letters like hers. Molly looks at the perfect swoops, hitting the broken line in exactly the same spot. Looks pretty good to me. You should see my scrawl. They barely teach it anymore, I hear. Yeah, everything's on computer. Molly is suddenly struck by the fact that Vivian wrote these words on this sheet of paper more than 80 years ago. Upright and do right make all right. Things have changed a lot since you were my age, huh? Vivian cocks her head. I suppose most of it doesn't affect me much. I still sleep in a bed, sit in a chair, wash dishes in a sink. Oh, Terry washes dishes in a sink, to be accurate, Molly thinks. I don't watch much television. You know, I don't have a computer. In a lot of ways, my life is just as it was 20 or even 40 years ago. That's kind of sad, Molly blurts, then immediately regrets it. But Vivian doesn't seem offended. Making a who cares face, she says, I don't think I've missed much. Wireless, internet, digital photographs, smartphones, Facebook, YouTube. Molly taps the finger of one hand. The entire world has changed in the past decade. Not my world, but you're missing out on so much. Vivian laughs. I hardly think FaceTube, whatever that is, would improve my quality of life. I'm almost sure I called it FaceTube too. That is just true that right there. That is truth. Staring you right in the face. FaceTube. Oh. Who hasn't said that who's my age? Come on. Molly shakes her head. It's Facebook and YouTube. Whatever, Vivian says breezily. I don't care. I like my quiet life. But there's a balance. Honestly, I don't know how you can just exist in this bubble. Vivian smiles. You don't have trouble speaking your mind, do you? So she's been told. Why did you keep this coat if you hated it? Molly asks, changing the subject. Vivian picks it up and holds it out in front of her. That's a very good question. So should we put it in the goodwill pile? Folding the coat in her lap, Vivian says, maybe. Let's see what else is in this box. The Milwaukee Train, 1929. I sleep badly the final night on the train. Carmine is up several times in the night, irritable and fidgety, and though I try to soothe him, he cries fitfully for a long time, disturbing the children around us. As dawn emerges in streaks of yellow, he finally falls asleep, his head on Dutchie's curled leg and his feet in my lap. I am wide awake, so filled with nervous energy that I can feel the blood pumping through my heart. I've been wearing my hair pulled back in a messy ponytail, but now I untie the old ribbon and let it fall to my shoulders, combing through it with my fingers and smoothing the tendrils around my face. I pull it back as tightly as I can. Turning, I catch Dutchie looking at me. Your hair is pretty. I squint at him in the gloom to see if he's teasing, and he looks back at me sleepily. That's not what you said a few days ago. I said you'll have a hard time. I want to push away both his kindness and his honesty. Can't help what you are, can you? He says. I crane my neck to see if Mrs. Scatcherd might have heard us, but there's no movement up front. Let's make a promise, he says, to find each other. How can we? We'll probably end up in different places. I know, and my name will be changed. Mine too, maybe. But we can try. Carmine flaps over, tucking his legs beneath him and stretching his arms, and both of us shift to accommodate him. Do you believe in fate? I asked. What's that again? That everything is decided. You're just, living it out. God has it all planned in advance. I nod. I don't know. I don't like the plan much so far. Me either. We both laugh. Mrs. Scatcherd says we should make a clean slate. I say, let go of the past. I can let go of the past, no problem. He picks up the wool blanket that has fallen to the floor and tucks it around the lump of Carmine's body, covering the parts that are exposed. But I don't want to forget everything. Outside the window, I see 3 sets of tracks paralleling the one we are on, brown and silver, and beyond them, broad flat fields of furrowed soil. The sky is clear and blue. The train car smells of diaper rags and sweat and sour milk. At the front of the car, Mrs. Scatcherd stands up, bends down to confer with Mr. Curran, and stands up again. She is wearing her black bonnet. All right, children, wake up, she says, looking around, clapping her hands several times. Her eyeglasses glint in the morning light. Around me, I hear small grunts and sighs as those lucky enough to have slept stretch out their cramped limbs. It is time to make yourself presentable. Each of you has a change of clothing in your suitcase, which, as you know, is on the rack overhead. Big ones, please, assist little ones. I cannot stress enough how important it is to make a good first impression. Clean faces, combed hair, shirts tucked in, bright eyes and smiles. You will not fidget or touch your face. And you will say, what, Rebecca? We're familiar with the script. Please and thank you, Rebecca says, her voice barely audible. Please and thank you what? Please and thank you, ma'am. You will wait to speak until you are spoken to, and then you will please and thank you, ma'am. You will wait to do that. You will wait to do what, Andrew? Speak until you are spoken to. Exactly. You will not fidget or what, Norma? Touch your face, ma'am, madam. Titters erupt from the seats. Mrs. Scatcherd glares at us. This amuses you, does it? I don't imagine you think it's quite so funny when all the adults say no thank you. I do not want a rude, slovenly child, and you'll have to get back on the train and go to the next station. Do you think so, Mrs. Curran? Mr. Curran? Mr. Curran's head jerks up at the sound of his name. No, indeed, Mrs. Scatcherd. The train is silent. Not getting chosen isn't something we want to think about. The little girl in the row behind me begins to cry, and soon I can hear muffled sniffs all around me. At the front of the train, Mrs. Scatcherd clasps her hands together and curls her lips into something resembling a smile. Now, no need for that. As with almost everything in life, if you are polite and present yourself favorably, it is probable that you will succeed. The good citizens of Minneapolis are coming to the meeting hall today with the earnest intention of taking one of you home, possibly more than one. So remember, girls, tie your hair ribbons neatly. Boys, clean necks and combed hair. Shirts buttoned properly. When we disembark, you will stand in a straight line. You will speak only when spoken to. In short, you will do everything in your power to make it easy for an adult to choose you. Is that clear? The sun is so bright that I have to squint, so hot that I edge to the middle seat out of the glare of the window, scooping Carmine onto my lap as we go under bridges and pull through stations. The light flickers and Carmine makes a shadow game of moving his hand across my white pinafore. You should make out all right, Dutchie says in a low voice. At least you won't be breaking your back doing farm work. You don't know that I won't, I say, and you don't know that you will. Milwaukee Road Depot, Minneapolis, 1929. The train pulls into the station with the high-pitched squealing of brakes and a great gust of steam. Carmine is quiet, gaping at the buildings and wires and people outside the window after hundreds of miles of fields and trees. We stand and begin to gather our belongings. Dutchie reaches up for our bags and sets them in the aisle. Out the window, I can see Mrs. Scatcherd and Mr. Curran on the platform talking to two men in suits and ties and black fedoras, and several policemen behind them. Mr. Curran shakes their hands, then sweeps his hand toward us as we step off the train. I want to say something to Dutchie, but I can't think of what. My hands are clammy. It's a terrible kind of anticipation, not knowing what we're walking into. The last time I felt this way, I was in the waiting room at Ellis Island. We were tired and Ma'am wasn't well, and we didn't know where we were going or what kind of life we would have. But now I can see all I took for granted. I had a family. I believed that whatever happened, we'd be together. A policeman blows a whistle and holds his arm in the air, and we understand that we're to line up. The solid weight of Carmine is in my arms, his hot breath slightly sour and sticky from his morning milk on my cheek. Dutchie carries our bags. Quickly, children, Mrs. Scatcherd says, in 2 straight lines. That's good. Her tone is gentler than usual, and I wonder if it's because we're around other adults or because she knows what's next. This way, we proceed behind her up a wide stone staircase, the clatter of our hard-soled shoes on the steps echoing like a drum roll. At the top of the stairs, we make our way down a corridor lit by glowing gas lamps and into the main waiting room of the station, not as majestic as the one in Chicago, but impressive nonetheless. It's big and bright with large multi-paned windows. Up ahead, Mrs. Scatcherd's black robe billows behind her like a sail. People point and whisper, and I wonder if they know why we're here. And then I spot a broadside affixed to a column in black block letters. On white paper, it reads, Wanted, Homes for Orphan Children. A company of homeless children from the East will arrive at Milwaukee Road Depot Friday, October 18th. Distribution will take place at 10 a.m. These children are of various ages and both sexes, having been thrown friendless upon the world. What did I say? Duchy says, following my glance. Pig slops. You can read? I ask with surprise. He grins. As if someone has turned a crank in my back, I am propelled forward, one foot in front of the next. The cacophony of the station becomes a dull roar in my ears. I smell something sweet, candy apples, as we pass a vendor's cart. The hair on my neck is limp, and I feel a trickle of sweat down my back. Carmine is impossibly heavy. How strange, I think, that I am in a place my parents have never been and will never see. How strange that I am here and they are gone. I touch the cladog cross around my neck. The older boys no longer seem so rough. Their masks have slipped. I see fear on their faces. Some of the children are sniffling, but most are trying very hard to be quiet, to do what's expected of them. Ahead of us, Mrs. Scatcherd stands behind a large oak door, hands clasped in front of her. When we reach her, we gather around a semicircle, the older girls holding babies and their younger children holding hands, the boys' hands stuffed in their pockets. Mrs. Scatcherd bows her head. Mary, Mother of God, we beseech you to cast a benevolent eye over these children, to guide them and bless them as they make their way in the world. We are your humble servants. In his name, amen. Amen, the pious few say quickly, and the rest of us follow. Mrs. Scatcherd takes off her glasses. We have reached our destination. From here, the Lord willing, you will disperse to families who need and want you. She clears her throat. Now remember, not everyone will find a match right away. This is to be expected and nothing to worry about. If you do not match now, you will simply board the train with Mr. Curran and me, and we will travel to another station about an hour from here. And if you do not find placement there, you will come with us to the next town. The children around me move. My stomach is hollow and trembly. Mrs. Scatcherd nods. All right, Mr. Curran, are we ready? We are, Mrs. Scatcherd, and leans against the large door with his shoulder pushing it open. We're at the back of a large wood-paneled room with no windows, filled with people milling about and rows of empty chairs. It is dry in here, and I only have this coffee. And coffee is not completely quenching, but that was actually good. We're at the back of a large wood-paneled room with no windows, filled with people milling about and rows of empty chairs. As Mrs. Scatcherd leads us down the center aisle toward a low stage at the front, a hush falls over the crowd, and then a swelling murmur. People in the aisle move aside to let us pass. Maybe, I think, someone here will want me. Maybe I'll have a life I've never dared to imagine, in a bright, snug house where there is plenty to eat, warm cake and milky tea with as much sugar as I please. But I am quaking as I make my way up the stairs to the stage. We line up by height, smallest to tallest, some of us still holding babies. Though Dutchie is 3 years older than me, I'm tall for my age, and we're only separated by one boy in line. Mr. Curran clears his throat and begins to make a speech. Looking over at him, I notice his flushed cheeks and rabbity eyes, his droopy brown mustache and bristly eyebrows, the stomach that protrudes from the bottom of his vest like a barely hidden balloon. A simple matter of paperwork, he tells the good people of Minnesota, is all that stands between you and one of the children on this stage. Strong, healthy, good for farm work and helping around the house. You have the chance to save a child from destitution, poverty, and I believe Mrs. Scatcherd would agree that it is not too great an exaggeration to add sin and depravity. Mrs. Scatcherd nods. So you have the opportunity both to do a good deed and get something in return, he continues. You will be expected to feed, clothe, and educate the child until the age of 18 and provide a religious education as well, of course, and it is our deepest hope that you will grow to feel not only fondness for your child, but to embrace him as your own. The child you select is yours for free, he adds, on a 90-day trial, at which point, if you choose, you may send him back. The girl beside me makes a low noise like a dog's whine, and slips her hand into mine. It's as cold and damp as the back of a toad. Don't worry, we'll be all right, I begin, but she gives me a look of such desperation that my words trail off. As we watch people line up and begin to mount the steps to the stage, I feel like one of the cows in an agricultural show my granddad took me to in Kinvara. In front of me now stands a young blonde woman, slight and pale, and earnest-looking man with a throbbing Adam's apple and wearing a felt hat. The woman steps forward. May I? Excuse me, I say, not understanding. She holds out her arms. Oh, she wants Carmine. He looks at the woman before hiding his face in the crook of my neck. He's shy, I tell her. Hello, little boy, she says. What's your name? He refuses to lift his head. I jiggle him. The woman turns to the man and says softly, the eyes can be fixed, don't you think? And he adds, I don't know. I would reckon so. Another man and woman are watching us. She's heavy set, with the furrowed brow and a soiled apron, and he's got thin strips of hair across his bony head. What about this one? The man says, pointing at me. Don't like the look of her, the woman says, with a grimace. She don't like the look of you either, Dutchie says, and all of us turn toward him in surprise. The boy between us shrinks back. What'd you say? The man goes over and plants himself in front of Dutchie. Your wife's got no call to talk like that. Dutchie's voice is low, but I can hear every word. You stay out of it, the man says, lifting Dutchie's chin with his index finger. My wife can talk about you orphans any way she goddamn wants. There's a rustling, a flash of black cape, and like a snake through the underbrush, Mrs. Scatcherd is upon us. What is the problem here? Her voice is hushed and forceful. This boy talked back to my husband, the wife says. Mrs. Scatcherd looks at Dutchie and then at the couple. Hans is spirited, she says. He doesn't always think before he speaks. I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name. Barney McCullum, and this here's my wife, Eva. Mrs. Scatcherd nods. What do you have to say to Mr. McCullum, then, Hans? Dutchie looks down at his feet. I know what he wants to say. I think we all do. Apologize, he mumbles without looking up. While this is unfolding, the slim blonde woman in front of me has been stroking Carmine's arm with her finger, and now, still nestled against me, he is looking through his lashes at her. Sweet thing, aren't you? She pokes him gently in his soft middle, and he gives her a tentative smile. The woman looks at her husband. I think he's the one. I can feel Mrs. Scatcherd's eyes upon us. Nice lady, I whisper in Carmine's ear. She wants to be your ma'am. Ma'am, he says, his warm breath on my face. His eyes are round and shining. His name is Carmine. Reaching up, I pry his monkey arms from around my neck, clasping them in my hand. The woman smells of roses, like the lush white blooms along the lane of my grandma's house. She is as finely boned as a bird. She puts her hand on Carmine's back, and he clings to me tighter. It's all right, I start, but the words crumble in my mouth. No, 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 Carmine says. I think I may faint. Do you need a girl to help with him? I blurt. I could, I think wildly, trying to remember what I am good at. Mend clothes and cook. The woman gives me a pitying look. "Oh, child," she says, "I am sorry. We can't afford two. We came here for a baby. I'm sure you'll find," her voice trails off. "We just want a baby to complete our family." I push back tears. Carmine feels the change in me and starts to whimper. "You must go to your new ma'am," I tell him and peel him off me. The woman takes him awkwardly, jostling him in her arms. She isn't used to holding a baby. I reach out and tuck his legs under her arm. "Thank you for taking care of him," she says. Mrs. Scatcherd herds the three of them off the stage toward a table covered with forms. Carmine's dark head in the woman's shoulder. One by one, the children around me are chosen. The boy beside me wanders away with the short, round woman who tells him it's high time she has a man around the house. The dog wine girl goes off with a stylish couple in hats. Dutchie and I are standing together, talking quietly, when a man approaches with skin as tanned and scuffed as old shoe leather, trailed by a sour-looking woman. The man stands in front of us for a minute, then reaches out and squeezes Dutchie's arm. "What are you doing?" Dutchie says with surprise. "Open your mouth." I can see that Dutchie wants to haul off and hit him, but Mr. Curran is watching us closely, and he doesn't dare. The man sticks a dirty-looking finger in his mouth. Dutchie jerks his head around. "Ever work as a hay baler?" the man asks. Dutchie stares straight ahead. "You hear me?" "No." "No, you didn't hear me?" Dutchie looks at him. "Never worked as a hay baler. Don't even know what that is." "What do you think?" the man says to the woman. "He's a tough one, but we could use a kid this size." "I reckon he'll fall in line," stepping up to Dutchie, she says. "We break horses. Boys aren't that different." "Let's load him up," the man says. "We got a drive ahead of us." "You're all set," Mr. Curran says, coming toward us with a nervous laugh. "Yep, this is the one." "Well, all right. If you'll just follow me over here, we can sign those papers." It's just as Dutchie predicted. Coarse country people looking for a field hand. They don't even walk him off. They don't even walk down off the stage. "Maybe it won't be that bad," I whisper. "If he lays a hand on me, you can get placed somewhere else." "I'm labor," he said. "That's what I am." As I am thinking this, I become aware of a woman looking at me closely. She is about my mother's age, with wavy brown hair cropped close to her head and plain, strong features. She wears a high-necked white blouse with vertical pleats, a dark paisley scarf, and a plain gray skirt. Heavy black shoes are on her feet. A large oval locket hangs on a gold chain around her neck. The man standing behind her is stout and florid, with shaggy auburn hair. The buttons of his waistcoat strain to confine his drum-like girth. The woman comes close to me. "What's your name?" "Neve." "Eve?" "No, Neve. I'm Irish," I say. "How do you spell it?" Niamh. She looks back at the man, who breaks into a grin. "Fresh off the boat," he says. "Ain't that right, missy?" "Well, not," I begin, but the man interrupts me. "Where are you from?" County Galway." "Ah, right," he nods, and my heart pumps. He knows it. My people are from County Cork. Came over long ago during famine." "These two are a particular pair," she circumspect and reserved, he bouncing on his toes, humming with energy. "The name would have to change," she says to her husband. "Whatever you want, my dear." She cocks her head at me. "How old are you?" 9, ma'am." "Can you sew?" I nod. "Do you know how to cross stitch? Hem? Can you do back stitching by hand?" "Fairly well. I learned stitches sitting at our apartment on Elizabeth Street, helping Ma'am when she took in extra work darning and mending and the occasional full dress from a bolt of cloth. Much of her work came from the sisters Rosenblum downstairs, who did finish who did fine finish work and gladly passed along to ma'am the more tedious tasks. I stood behind her as she traced patterns in chalk on cambric and calico and learned to make the wide, simple chain stitches to guide the emerging shape of the garment. Who taught you? My ma'am. Where is she now? Passed away. I hesitate slightly. And your father? I'm an orphan. My words hang in the air. The woman nods at the man, who puts his hand on her back and guides her to the side of the room. I watch as they talk. He shakes his floppy head and rubs his belly. She touches the bodice of her blouse with the flat hand, gestures toward me. He stoops, hands on his belt, and bends close to whisper in her ear. She looks me up and down, then they come back over. I am Mrs. Byrne, she says. My husband works as a woman's clothier, and we employ several local women to make garments to order. We are looking for a girl who is good with a needle. This is so different from what I was expecting that I don't know what to say. I will be honest with you. We do not have any children and have no interest in being surrogate parents. But if you are respectful and hardworking, you will be treated fairly. I nod. The woman smiles, her features shifting. For the first time, she seems almost friendly. Good. She shakes my hand. We'll sign the papers then. The hovering Mr. Curran descends, and we are led to the table where the necessary forms are signed and dated. You know what I find interesting is that to go back may have been better for any number of them, right? To go back to the home and how, they can't take care of them. So how the whole system is built to make sure that they get into the hands of these families. It's not a bad system, right? If somebody set up the system on purpose to provide free labor, that's one thing. But there's an education that goes along with this. There's a real way of life, which is tough, but I'll just say, but learn it, right? Okay. I think you'll find that Neve is mature for her years, Mrs. Scatcherd tells them. If she is brought up in a strict God-fearing household, there is no reason to believe she can't become a woman of substance. Taking me aside, she whispers, you are lucky to have found a home. Do not disappoint me or the society. I don't know if you'll get another chance. Mr. Byrne hoists my brown suitcase onto his shoulder. I follow him and his wife out of the Grange Hall, down the quiet street, and around the corner to where their black Model A is parked in front of a modest storefront with hand-lettered signs advertising sales. Norwegian sardines and oil, 15 cents. Round steak, 36 cents a pound. Wind rustles through the tall, sparse trees that lined the road. After laying my suitcase flat in the trunk, Mr. Burns opens the rear door for me. The interior of the car is black. The leather seats cool and slippery. I feel very small in the back seat. The Burns take their places in the front and don't glance back. Mr. Byrne reaches over and touches his wife's shoulder, and she smiles at him. With a loud rumble, the car springs to life and we set off. The Burns are having an animated conversation in the front seat, but I can't hear a word. Several minutes later, Mr. Byrne pulls into the driveway of a modest beige stucco house with brown trim. As soon as he turns off the car, Mrs. Burns looks back at me and says, we've decided on Dorothy. You like that name? Mr. Byrne asks. For goodness sake, Raymond, it doesn't matter what she thinks. Mrs. Byrne snaps as she opens her car door. Dorothy is our choice, and Dorothy she will be. I turn the name over in my mind. Dorothy. All right, I'm Dorothy now. The stucco is chipped and paint is peeling off the trim, but the windows are sparkling clean and the lawn is short and neat. A doomed planter of rust-colored mums sits on either side of the steps. One of your tasks will be to sweep the front porch, steps, and walkway every day until the snow comes, rain or shine, Mrs. Burns says, as I follow her up to the door. You will find the dustpan and broom inside the hall closet on the left. She turns around to face me, and I nearly bump into her. Are you paying attention? I don't like to repeat myself. Yes, Mrs. Byrne. Call me ma'am. Ma'am will suffice. Yes, ma'am. The small foyer is gloomy and dark. Shadows from the white crocheted curtains on the one window cast lacy shapes on the floor. To the left, through a slightly open door, I glimpse the red flocked wallpaper and mahogany table and chairs of a dining room. Mrs. Byrne pushes a button on the wall and the overhead light springs on as Mr. Burns comes ready through the first door, having retrieved my bag from the truck. Ready, she says, opening the door to the front, opening the door to the right onto a room that, to my surprise, is full of people. Okay, we are done with 3 more chapters. The next chapter is Albans, Minnesota. So we're going to continue with her story, Albans, Minnesota, 1929. How nice that she's gotten chosen, but how interesting, right? And the whole interesting thing about this, quote, experiment that does seem to be lovely is that there are homes given to people, and I don't know, no false pretenses, but certainly a chance for a better life. The sadness of them being orphaned seems not a bit, but sinister and lacking rationale, purposeful. So I don't know. I don't know what to think about these experiments. I know that lots of people are using that language. This is Dr. Annette Feravich. We have been here in the classroom for our first day of our 3 days on. It is February 10th. We are here on day 309. Thanks so much for joining me here in the classroom where we are working day and night, always struggling to make your mind, your body, and your spirit healthy. Thanks for joining me.